What's up, guys? I'm DJ Swivel, and on this week's episode of Just the Tips, I'm going to be showing you my entire songwriting process, breaking down from melody to lyrics to laying it, how does it iterate, how does it come together, all of that and more. But before we get started, make sure you like, subscribe, leave a comment, hit the notification bell, run the intro. What's up, guys? My name is DJ Swivel, and we're back for another week of Just the Tips. The first episode for 2021. I wish you guys all a happy new year, and hopefully 2021 is a much better year than 2020 was. I'm very excited about this week because we are back to Pro Tools. We are back to production tips and tricks. The last few episodes, we focused on Q&A. You guys asked me a bunch of questions, and I answered them. I picked the best ones and answered them. And that was primarily because I was finishing the launch for my latest plugin, BDE, which, by the way, if you're a producer, you haven't checked it out, go to djswivel.com/products, check out BDE. It's the best distortion in the game. I promise you that. And you can go get a 2-week free trial. But anyways, I was wrapping up the launch of BDE, and I didn't really have time to put together some really good production stuff. To be honest, I had primarily really put all music stuff to the side so I could get that product out. But now we're back to music. It's a new year, it's a new me, and we are going to break down a new song that I just wrote. So this week's episode is about the songwriting process, creating the song. Now there's going to be we're going to touch a little bit on beat stuff here, but really this episode is not about the track. It's not about the beat. It's about how you create a song, how you write. And I'm just sort of going to break down my writing process. Okay. So let's dig right into it. I've got, before we play everything, let me just set up what you're looking at here. So everything that is not these 4 yellow tracks, so everything here and below, this is the final song that that I'm going to pitch to artists or whatever I end up doing with it. That's sort of the final version of the song that I wrote. These first 4 tracks are like 4 stages of the songwriting process before we get to the final. So you're kind of going to hear like 5 stages. And these are sort of indicative of how I write most of my music. So without further ado, let's dig right into it. So V1, beat idea 1. Basically, all this is a rough scratch beat idea, which is primarily a drum loop, a bass line, and a couple melody instruments, and a beginning stage of a hook, right? I always tend to write the hook first because, well, the hook is supposed to be the catchiest part of the song. And if you don't have a good hook, well, you don't really have a song, in my opinion. So I tend to write the hook first. So what you're going to hear in this first track is, a very rough hook melody. Only some of it ended up getting used, but that was the first take I came up with, and then I'll play a little bit of the beat at the end. So let's dig right into it. Here we go. Every time I get Okay, so you get the idea, basic beat idea. I sort of let a few bars at the end there run just so you could hear like how simple the track starts as. And then we build from that. So, well, what did we end up keeping? Well, you haven't heard the final song yet, but I can tell you when you hear the next iteration of this, really the first line. Let's hear that first line again. Every time I get So that melody ended up becoming the melody or the opening line melody for the chorus. So that was the first stage of making it. Now let's listen to stage 2. This all happened in the same day, by the way. Now, once I landed on that first take, and I was like, that first line feels pretty good. I scrapped all the lines that I didn't like, and I kept that first line. And so now you're going to hear the iterative process. So now I add some lyrics to that first line and then flesh out the rest of the melody. So here we go.
Working up a sweat, man, that girl, she a dancer. She smoking la la, got us feel like we NASA. Oh, and I better see no man, don't pay. Having a mess in a man, don't play. Got it, whoa, whoa, and I'm at Jenna, and I'm at him in the NASA.
So not much change in the beat at all. Actually, nothing, in fact. But what did change is now we have an opening line, which I ended up keeping. Working up a sweat, man, that girl, she's a dancer. I don't know how I came up with that. I didn't sit and write it. I liked the melody from that previous take, that opening line melody. And so I started trying to come up with words that would connect and fit in with that melody, because I know I like the melody. And then, of course, I came up with new melodies for the rest of that chorus, and that's where we land. There is no lyrics there, but there is a lyric for that first line, and that is the lyric that inspired the entire song. Working up a sweat, man, that girl, she's a dancer. You know, also the way that the track bounced, the way that the track was moving and bouncing, it kind of, to me, felt like a strip club song, to be honest with you. So, you know, forgive me for anybody young who's watching or whatever, but that's the reality. It felt like a song that you would hear in a strip club. So, that line felt like it made sense. So anyways, moving on, that's where I ended day one, right? So it says V1, but that's essentially where I ended the first day of working on the song. Then I came back to it a couple days later, and I started working on, well, one, I started fleshing the track out a little bit. And I also started working on verse melodies. So now we're gonna listen through, and I'm gonna play more of the song, but you're gonna hear the hook, the first verse, the second hook, and the second verse. But again, these verses are just gonna be gibberish. You're not gonna hear. You might hear some words in there, but it's just gibberish. It's freestyled off the top of the head. And it, again, same iterative process here. I do one take, keep what I like, scrap what I don't like, and then fill in the blanks until I have a verse that I love. All right, so let's hear the next stage of the process.
Working up a sweat, man, that girl, she a dancer. She smoking la la, got us feel like we NASA. Oh, and I better see no man, don't pay. Having a mess in a man, don't play. Got it, whoa, whoa, and I'm at Jenna, and I'm at him in the NASA. Oh, body stop, body drop. Having a minute, shoving every shop. Having ever seen, having every time. Having ever seen, having every time. Yeah, yeah, the bit, don't right. Having a bit, don't right. Having a whoa, whoa. Having a sipping and whoa, whoa. Having a sipping and whoa, whoa. Having to teach you, but to feed you. I couldn't need you. Whoa. Working up a sweat, man, that girl, she a dancer. She smoking la la, got us feel like we NASA. Oh, and I better see no play, don't pay. Having a mess in a man, don't play. Got it, whoa, whoa, and I'm at Jenna, and I'm at him in the NASA. Oh, yeah. Jump on a chin, jump on a knee, huh? Jump on a knee, jump on a knee, jump on a knee, huh? I can't see them on the chin, I'm in the day, huh? I'm on a chin, jump on the competition, huh? Having a top on it. Having a mission and a top as well. Heaven really knows every sin, every hole, every old door that was yours. So, diamonds is anything, let me know. You can get it all, dimension, let me show. Diamond, I'm a sin, tap it, I'm a sin. I'm a coming, I'm a chimming, a tin, and let me know. Working up a sweat, man, that girl, she a dancer.
Okay. So, now we have flows, melodies, and some general ideas for what we want to do for the verse. But now we have to put words to it. So before I play you the words and where the verses mostly ended up, it's still not the final on the next one, but it's close to the final. You know, I want to show you this one section here, and I want you to take note of this when I play you this purple track, you know, V3. Listen to this right here.
Heaven really knows every sin, every hole, every old door that was yours to.
That's just gibberish. But to me, it sounds like heaven really knows every sin. And I said something like every hole or something. But again, that's just gibberish. But I ended up using that because it sounded cool. And I ended up using that in the lyrics. So when we get to this part, I'll like sort of mark it here. You'll see and you'll compare it. So let me play it one more time.
Heaven really knows every sin, every hole, every old door that was yours to.
We're mostly talking about this first half there. Heaven really knows. And yeah, I ended up using that as a lyric. So now we fill in the lyrics for the chorus, verse 1 and verse 2. Still not the final version of the song. It's just the lead vocal getting the lyrics right, but this is the next stage. So let's listen to it.
Working up a sweat, man, that girl, she a dancer. She's smoking so high, got us feel like we're NASA. Oh, she done got me feeling like my money all play. Haven't ever seen a body move, no way. Got me like, whoa, when she back that thing up, she be killing like Manson. Oh, yeah. Henny shot, penny drop. Got me making moves like the body's hot. Shit you never seen like a PS5. Something couldn't dream, made me feel alive. Turn around, I go to work, been feeling for this all day. Presidential tipping, got me gripsing you like prey. Squeezing on them thighs and then you look me in the eyes. It kinda took me by surprise, but now you hit the zip, okay. Whoa, haven't ever seen it like no. Sucking like a demon with no soul. Brother, never seen it like, let's head to the crib. I couldn't believe it like, working up a sweat, man, that girl, she a dancer. So high, got us feel like we're NASA. Oh, she done got me feeling like my money all play. Haven't ever seen a body move, no way. Got me like, whoa, when she back that thing up, she be killing like Manson. Oh, yeah. Giving her bands, fucking her hands off. Dropping a rack, lower her back, get your dance on. I could spend the money fast when it's my mission. Burning through my stack like it's a competition. I could see that she the type to put it all on black. Giving her it all just to get her back. Heaven really knows every sin, every goal. Enrolled in the fall of degree on hold. Diamond chains, anything, let me know. You can get it all, private planes, let me show. Hit the medicine and I slip it for the win. Try to hit me with a bill for the thin, that's how it goes. Working up a sweat, man, that girl, she a dancer.
There you go. So now we've got most of the lyrics are there. I did end up in the final, I changed, you know, ending lines and a couple little things, but for the most part, that's the lyrics. And I want to go back to this one section because this is just worth pointing out. When you're coming up with gibberish lines and just humming and just kind of freestyling melody, sometimes you add words, you just do things, and sometimes, you know, you get these happy accidents and they end up being pretty cool. And that's kind of what happened here. So let's listen to what the lyric ended up being.
Back, heaven really knows every sin, every goal. Enrolled in the fall of degree on hold.
So what I heard is heaven really knows every sin, every goal. Enrolled in the fall, her degree on hold. So now the enrolled in the fall, degree on hold, that was just written after this initial idea. But this initial idea that I heard in version 2,
heaven really knows every sin, every hole.
I heard that as heaven really knows every sin, every goal. And I thought that was an interesting line, right? That to me, I interpret that as like only God knows all of your flaws, all your sins, but also all your dreams, all your aspirations. So, and then I thought following that line up with enrolled in the fall, her degrees on hold, I thought that was kind of cool. It shows like she had goals. She has goals. Like she's in college, but got to make some money, degrees on hold. So that was just sort of, again, a happy accident. I heard it in the melody and I was like, that's cool. I can use that. And then coming up with words that work around it based around words that I kind of heard in the melody, even if it was sort of subconscious. So anyways, that is the next stage, sort of stage, you can call it 3 or 4 if you want. In reality, this is probably like version 7 here. But now we have a lead vocal with all of the right lyrics, or most of the right lyrics. And then from there, I build the production around it. So now we build up harmonies. We get all the lyrics right. We make arrangement changes to the beat. We add some synths and other elements in the track. And then we get to a final version. So now I'm going to play you the final version of the song. I'll play you up until the end of the second verse. And then we can, I'll sort of break down all the changes that happened in that final version. So here we go.
DJ Swivel.
Working up a sweat, man, that girl, she a dancer. She's smoking so high, got us feel like we're NASA. Whoa, she done got me feeling like my money all play. Haven't ever seen nobody move, no way. Got me like, whoa, when she back that thing up, she be killing like Manson. Oh, yeah. Henny shot, penny drop. Got me making moves like the body's hot. Shit you never seen like a PS5. Something couldn't dream, made me feel alive. Turn around and go to work, been feeling for this all day. Presidential tipping, got me gripsing you like Ray. Squeezing on them thighs and then you look me in the eyes. It kinda took me by surprise, and now you hit the zip, okay. Whoa, haven't ever seen it like no. Sucking like a demon with no soul. Said she couldn't spend the night, but let's head to the crib, couldn't believe it like whoa. Working up a sweat, man, that girl, she a dancer. So high, got us feel like we're NASA. Whoa, she done got me feeling like my money all play. Haven't ever seen nobody move, no way. Got me like, whoa, when she back that thing up, she be killing like Manson. Oh, yeah. Giving her bands, fucking her hands off. Dropping a rack, blow her back, get your dance on. I could spend the money fast when it's my mission. Burn it through my stack like it's a competition. I could see that she the type to put it all on black. Giving her it all just to get her back. Heaven really knows every sin, every goal. Enrolled in the fall of degree, oh. Diamond chains, anything, let me know. You can get it all, private planes, let me show. Hit the medicine and I slip it for the win. Try to hit me with a bill for the thin, that's how it goes. Working up a sweat, man, that girl, she a dancer.
Okay. And then sort of the third chorus kind of rings out, and then there's some instrumental and the song ends. So what changed from this last version to the final? Well, actually a lot of things. That's kind of the final production stage. So a lot of things change. Now you're hearing ad-libs in the vocals. You're hearing doubles, backgrounds, and harmonies in the vocals. We could sort of like just show that previous version just had really this green track and then this purple and blue track, and that's it. And then of course we added, these sort of whisper breathy ad-libs, which fill in some nice space. We have some doubles on the chorus. We have some harmonies on the chorus. And then we have some other doubles and harmonic layers for the verse and even some little chorus elements as well. So, and then on top of all that, there's all the arrangement in the track. So for example, here's a good example of that. Most of the song is a Moog bass. You can actually see it over there, that guy where my hand is on. But there's also an 808 in the song. But I thought it might be a nice switch up in the second verse to do some of these little like production changes where I mute the bass and I put the 808 in instead. So let's like quickly listen to that just so you can hear the dynamics of it all.
Giving her bands, fucking her hands off. Dropping a rack, blow her back, get your dance on. I could spend the money fast when it's my mission. Burn it through my stack like it's a competition. I could see that she the type to put it all on black. Giving her it all just to get her back. Heaven really knows every sin, every goal. Enrolled in the fall of degree, oh. Diamond chains, anything, let me know. You can get it all, private.
So that was a nice switch up with the 808. And then even things like this little drop here where, we drop out everything and we have that little scream sound. is a nice way to accent it. And we have, of course, the double clap, which sets the whole thing up. I'll play that one more time as well.
Diamond chains, anything, let me know. You can get it all, private.
So it's those little moments that add those dynamics and stuff. But really, it starts with the songwriting process. Is get a general scratch idea down, get a chorus idea that you like, then start filling in the verse ideas with the melody, and then start adding words to it all and make a song that makes sense and tells a story and that we can all listen to the lyrics to and sort of get something out of it, take something from it. So that is my songwriting process. Hopefully this demystifies for some of you guys who are just producers who don't write top lines or melodies, maybe this sort of simplifies the process a bit. So you have the confidence to now like go and try. Anybody can jump on a mic and hum some melodies. And if you're a producer and you can play the keys or you understand melody, your mouth is just another instrument. And so, I encourage you, get a mic, just put some headphones on, put the record button on, and it doesn't matter if you make mistakes, just try to come up with catchy rhythms, melodies, and flows, and then you can apply the words to it afterwards. And yeah, that's kind of been my process for a long time, something I learned from a lot of other songwriters that I worked with that were doing it long before I was. And I've sort of just taken all of those tips and tricks that I learned and sort of, condensed it down to like what really works for me. And this is a very typical process for me. So anyways, that is just the tips for this week, my songwriting process. Hope you guys found this useful, but we will be back in a few more weeks with another technical episode in Pro Tools showing you how to work on, how I work on songs and how I do things. We will be back with more of those. So till next time, make sure you like, subscribe, comment, hit the notification bell. I'm DJ Swivel. Peace.
It sound right, boys.